Welcome to this explainer. Today, we're taking a critical and honestly absolutely fascinating look at the sudden wave of massive AI data centers heading straight for Western Pennsylvania. We're going to explore exactly how local communities can seize technological sovereignty to protect their own power grid. We are dealing with an unprecedented digital expansion here. And because training modern AI models requires just staggering amounts of power, developers are executing these massive adaptive reuse projects. They're literally transforming our old, abandoned industrial sites into incredibly energy-hungry data centers right in our backyards. But we aren't just going to talk about the problem today. No, we're going to outline an exact engineering-backed solution called the open-source citizen infrastructure model. So, let's get right into it.
First, just look at this number, 280. We are talking about a massive 280 megawatt bulk utility tie-in planned for the Alcoa Tech Center corridor. To put that into perspective, an industrial draw of this magnitude it's enormous. It's like nothing we've seen locally. These hyperscale facilities, they don't operate in a vacuum, right? When they pull continuous massive blocks of power from our local substations, especially during those hot summer peak hours, it threatens to severely spike regional capacity prices. And if left unchecked, well, this kind of non-linear demand shock means everyday ratepayers, you and me, will see our monthly electric bills shoot up, essentially just to subsidize corporate tech operations. No way we want that.
Okay, let's dive into this, because this is the fundamental question of our era, isn't it? How do we manage the explosive energy demand of the new digital age without breaking the grid? How do we manage this staggering new technological surge? For decades, our aging, centralized grid has relied on a totally reactive model. When demand spikes, utilities just fire up expensive, inefficient, fossil-fueled peaker plants. Or, worse, they propose spending billions of our ratepayer dollars to build massive new centralized facilities and transmission lines. But relying on that old, centralized fossil fuel model to power the explosive energy demand of the digital age, it's becoming incredibly risky and, frankly, unbelievably expensive.
To really understand why, we have to contrast our options. Right now, there is a massive global shortage of heavy-duty gas turbines. If a utility wants to build a new natural gas peaker plant to handle these new AI data centers, they're looking at severe 4 to 6 year delays just to secure the massive gas turbines needed to run them. Plus, those centralized plants leave our grid highly vulnerable to economic shocks from climate-driven extreme weather. It's a real bottleneck. But on the other hand, we have the solar speed advantage. Recent data from Reuters actually confirms that residential solar is the cheapest, fastest power to deploy in the US today, even without government subsidies. It bypasses those global supply chain bottlenecks entirely because the space is already developed, right? It's literally right on your roof.
And to find the blueprint for solving this, we actually have this incredible piece of local Western Pennsylvania history to draw from. Take a look at this. This is George Westinghouse, the original architect of decentralized control. Back in 1884, a natural gas well in Murraysville, known locally as the Roarer, erupted with such violent uncontained pressure it was essentially an untamed monster. But Westinghouse tamed it. How? He contained that incredibly high pressure by stepping it down through a decentralized network so it could be consumed safely at the edge, right at the homes and factories. He proved to the entire world that centralized volatility is best managed by local containment and decentralized edge regulation.
And here is exactly where history meets our modern grid crisis. Westinghouse used a mechanical pressure regulator to step down high-pressure natural gas. He then used the exact same concept, the alternating current transformer, to step down high-voltage electricity. Well, today, we have the modern digital equivalent, the hybrid inverter. Conceptually, they are identical. The hybrid inverter acts like a brilliantly intelligent traffic cop for a home energy system. It safely translates direct current from your solar panels into synchronized alternating current to stabilize the grid. It is the direct digital descendant of Westinghouse's paradigm, using intelligent edge hardware to protect local infrastructure from massive centralized shocks.
Which brings us to the core concept of the open-source citizen infrastructure model, the virtual power plant, or VPP. By networking thousands of these modern hybrid inverters together, we can completely shift our mindset from being passive energy consumers to empowered prosumers. Think about it. Instead of a massive, vulnerable, centralized power plant, a VPP is a decentralized network of individual, home-based solar and battery systems. When combined, they act as a single, massive 15-megawatt shock absorber for the local grid. It provides immediate relief during high-stress hours and totally prevents those regional demand spikes.
So what does this actually look like at your house? Well, it's a multi-layered grid-edge hardware stack. And it really just requires 3 highly actionable pieces of hardware:
A standard 5 kilowatt residential solar roofing array, a 10 kilowatt hour smart battery energy storage system just sitting quietly in your garage or basement, and that absolutely crucial bidirectional hybrid inverter connecting them together. This hardware stack operates right where energy is consumed, at the edge of the electrical grid. When you install this, you're essentially building a highly resilient, self-sufficient clean energy fortress right on your own property.
And here is the really powerful math behind this entire strategy. 6,000. It only takes networking 6,000 volunteer residential properties equipped with this hardware stack to inject 15 megawatts of clean, dispatchable power directly into the local substation. That 15 megawatt injection, that is enough to completely neutralize the peak grid stress caused by these new edge AI data centers during the most critical hours of the day. By relying on private citizens investing in their own home backup power, we collectively build this massive defensive shield for the entire region, and we do it without burning a single additional cubic foot of fracked gas. How amazing is that?
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is the exact mathematical dispatch strategy used to pull this off during peak summer grid stress. The goal here is to provide a flat, continuous target of 2.5 kilowatts of grid injection per household for 4 hours straight. In step 1, which we call the shoulder window from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m., late afternoon solar is still generating about 1 kilowatt of power, so the home battery only needs to discharge 1.5 kilowatts to hit our 2.5 target. Then, in step 2, the true net peak window from 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., ambient solar naturally drops to 0, but the smart inverter automatically signals the battery to step up and discharge the full 2.5 kilowatts. It is a perfectly balanced 4-hour evening dispatch matrix.
Now, if you're a homeowner, your first question is probably going to be, wait, will this drain my battery and leave me unprotected? Not at all. If you look at the breakdown over that 4-hour window, the shoulder window uses 3 kilowatt hours, and the net peak window uses 5 kilowatt hours. That's a total of 8 kilowatt hours consumed. Out of a 10 kilowatt hour battery, this aggressive grid-saving strategy still leaves exactly 2 kilowatt hours, a very comfortable 20% state of charge completely untouched. That strict safety buffer absolutely guarantees your personal household storm resilience, and it protects the longevity of your battery asset for decades to come.
Of course, to get 6,000 homes on board, we have to look at the regional demographics. This municipal tiering table shows exactly how a strategic rollout works across different zones. First, we have the capital engine. These are communities like Murraysville and Penn Township with high-tech adoption and the private capital for rapid front-end deployment. Next up is the host community impact zone, the immediate surrounding municipalities that actually neighbor these industrial sites. Residents here have a very acute incentive to insulate their lines from localized demand spikes. And finally, the blue-collar resiliency shield in historic industrial corridors like Trafford Borough, where the focus is really on utilizing state grants to stabilize utility costs against fluctuating consumer rates. So how do we accelerate all of this? Well, by removing the guesswork, and this brilliantly illustrates how. This is the interface for Google's Project Sunroof. You see, the primary friction point for homeowners usually isn't a lack of willingness, it's the sheer complexity of calculating their individual return on investment. Project Sunroof fixes that. It uses high-resolution aerial mapping and 3D modeling to analyze your specific roof geometry and your local weather. Any homeowner can simply type in their address, instantly bypass all the abstract environmental rhetoric, and see their exact solar potential, the optimal system size, and a highly precise 20-year financial savings projection. It's a total game changer.
Ultimately, the digital expansion of AI data centers just doesn't have to come at the expense of our environment or our financial stability. The open-source citizen infrastructure model proves unequivocally that we have the power to offset these massive industrial loads ourselves. By transforming our homes into active nodes on a decentralized grid, we secure our own backup power while actively defending the entire community from rate hikes and supply chain bottlenecks. So what does this all mean for you? The final question I'll leave you with is this. Are you ready to step up as an architect of your own grid resilience and help your community achieve true energy sovereignty? The technology is here, right now, just waiting on your roof.